Check, check.
Gotcha.
One, two. Okay, mic check, please.
Gotcha, bro.
Oh, look at the sound level there.
What is that, me blowing you out?
You are. Yep.
I
We're live, by the way, guys.
I like to say pop.
That's what the red indicates?
Yeah, Pete just turned me down because I'm annoying him.
That's right. That's right.
It's my role.
Yep. By the way, we're streaming live. So
Okay. Yeah, you said
as
that.
we get things set up here, you are on the internet, Ed.
Do you think Mike says that to Mike when they go live? Do you know who
Mike and Mike
are?
Yeah, I know who Mike and Mike are.
You like them?
That show's pretty cool.
And the only thing is they're Jets fans.
They both are?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I'm just going to link this one more feed, and then we'll get started. I like the Dan Patrick Show. Ever watch it?
Nope.
Nope.
Don't watch TV, Pete.
That's right. You fly airplanes, and that's it.
Yep.
Never watch TV.
Nope.
History Channel? News? Nothing?
Nothing.
Discovery?
Nothing.
Sports? Occasionally?
I turn the TV off. I'm joking. There's no regular show, I guess, that I watch.
Yeah, I'm in that boat too. Except
Like
Walking Dead. I'll watch Walking Dead.
Walking Dead?
Yeah.
That show sucks now.
It's kind of getting drug out.
I
and
think
it's kinda getting-
it's on rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
It's on rinse and repeat.
Camera 2. Camera 2,
Yeah.
check. Camera 1. And camera 3.
Can you tell me when I'm not on camera?
No. No. You're always on camera, Ed.
Just assume you're always on camera.
I wanted to give Andy the finger when no one was looking.
It's a family show.
So why are we live? Are we just
Well, we're not starting yet. Hold on.
Yeah, we're
Why
just
are we
checking
live?
sound levels.
We're just checking sound levels. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. All right.
I can't hear you anymore, Pete. So can our live audience... Oh, I can't hear anything anymore.
That's right.
Can our
All right.
live audience send us...
They could send us...
what's that Facebook thing called?
it's called Facebook.
But is there a way for them to send you a message right now saying, hey, I can't hear Ed or I can't hear Andy?
Yeah, they can go on Facebook right now and make a post in our Facebook page, the Hangar Deck Podcast. We're going to get to that in a minute. I think we are ready to start, though.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know you could do this on Facebook.
You can. Well, it's a Facebook / YouTube Live / the Hangar Deck Podcast / All right, welcome back to the Hangar Deck Podcast. We're broadcasting live tonight from Pete's basement. That's right. In studio, we've got Fast Eddie.
Yes, Eddie.
And our aviation expert in the house, Mr. Andy White. How you doing, Andy?
Good. Expert. I should get extra pay then, right?
Extra pay for Andy. Well, welcome back to the Hangar Deck Podcast. It's been about a month since episode 31 went down. Great feedback from our audience. We got in studio. We had Raging Rick with us last time. Rick's not around this time. His work release ran out, and the state gave us a hard time bringing him back in. So if he's out there, Rick, this one's for you, pal. So Aviation Creative Radio is what we're pitching here at the Hangar Deck Podcast. You can find us on StitcherRadio.com. That's both Android and Apple iTunes. Also, the Aviation Media Network. So we love talking about aviation topics, aircraft pick of the week, and really straight talk for aviation enthusiasts and for new people listening to aviation. So where are we at? Over 8,000 downloads, Ed. That was
Wow.
That was yesterday's.
Oh, I was way behind then.
8,000 downloads to the podcast. We're really excited about it. It continues to do well. So we are looking for that sponsor plug I'll put out there. If you're listening to listening to get your message out, give us a call and we'll talk about sponsoring the show. So, what are we talking about tonight? I don't know.
Been there.
Spitballing on airline travel.
We've all been there. That's what we came up with before the show.
Well, tonight we had an author set up, and unfortunately the northeastern wind, storm, snow knocked power out at his house. Mr. Dale Lowry was supposed to be with us tonight, and he had to postpone his podcast episode and talk about his great book, the Boneyard Almanac, and this is the second in the sequence, right, Ed?
Yep. Phenomenal book. I've read the extracts, and it's really cool. Can't wait to talk about it.
Right.
But actually, this is very fortuitous because one of the things we come up with that we do want to talk about tonight is what can airlines control? Why does airline service seem to be getting crummier? And when there's weather delays, like, Dell ran into tonight, it wasn't just a weather delay with travel. It was, power out. So,
right.
Couldn't even dial in and join us. So we started talking about what are all our complaints and, can we inform our listeners to, hey, there's some things that are valid and there's some things that we all complain about because, we all think we're the most important people in the world and we can't get where we want to go.
That's right.
We want to complain, myself included, and I'm in the industry.
Yeah, but that guy cramming the giant suitcase into the overhead bin,
You want to kill that MFer.
He can control that.
He can control that.
You know what, guy?
And you want to punch
Check
that
the
guy in the
bag
head.
and wait at the carousel like everyone else.
Yeah.
for Christ's
So
sake.
we started just laughing before the we were like, hey, Dell can't join us. It was weather related. Hey, Northeast weather, everyone gets stuck in travel. We started talking about traveling and how miserable it is.
Well, who doesn't have a bad story about flying on an airplane or the whole
we
experience?
all do. It sucks.
Even you, and you're an airline pilot.
Yeah, I do it. It's my living, and it sucks. It's terrible. And there's good reasons for it, and there's sometimes we complain, and it's not valid. And, Andy and Pete and I, before the show, just conversationally talking, and I was trying to shoot down some of their complaints, if you will, and agreeing with others. So we said, hey, let's do a show on it real quick. Impromptu. We've all been there. That's what we called it. We've all been there. We've been traveling and we're miserable. Why? So,
well, I think. Tonight we're going to talk about airline travel. We've all been there, right? So,
yep. And why is it perceptibly so bad to so many of us?
Well, I think
because very, very short time period ago, I don't think people had this perception.
This level of
it was something you needed to do, but people didn't. It wasn't just the rage that we have now about it and how much we hate it.
I took a trip back in December, and quick story. Went on a short vacation down to the Florida Keys, and I flew into Fort Lauderdale. And the whole experience was just like, oh, my God. I mean, I love flying. It was my career for 20 years. Love flying. But, I can't get over how the industry has changed so much with just baggage, ticketing. The technology was supposed to make things easier. And it ended up making things more difficult for the traveler because not everybody is tech savvy on that. So I went down to Fort Lauderdale. I paid like $9 for a beer in the airport, and that's a completely different story. But
right,
it's expensive to travel. It's not an enjoyable experience, and I think the conspiracy here, or theory here, is that this is done on purpose. What do you think?
What is done on purpose? The free market? the fact that, hey, you have to travel. So I know you have to be in that airport. So I know that this guy's going to pay $9 for a beer. That's the free market. I have no problem with that.
You have no problem for the beer, and then the $25 additional fee to carry my stuff.
No, I have no problem with that.
All right. Now, and then that's baggage fees. My perception from a non-airline type of guy here, baggage fees come up a few years ago when the cost of fuel went up, and all of a sudden it was like...
Yeah, it was trying to hide the cost.
So why hasn't, with the cost of fuel going down, why are they not going away? Is that something we've all just accepted as a fact of airline travel now, is you are going to pay $25 to stuff your bag in the belly?
Could be. I don't know. No, it has not been that long.
All of us being aviation guys, that we've figured out weight and balance enough. That fuel is already in the airplane. It doesn't matter. The fuel load to get from A to B is going to be the same whether or not that cargo bay is empty or that cargo bay is full.
You're right. Absolutely. That was a gimmick to give you a fare that was not your true fare, and at the end of the day, so hey, it's $129 to go from Dulles to Fort Lauderdale. No, it's not. It's $289 when you throw in tax, and fees and baggage fees and all that. Yep, I got it. And there's bean counters that worked all that out. Is that going to go away? No, probably not.
Probably not. No,
probably not. Is that so? Do we have to get used to, hey, that's in a time of shrinkage and very high energy costs? Is that the model that American carriers went to? Yes. With a few exceptions. But we kind of really jumped in broad here. Let's go more specific initially, because this was one thing that we were talking about beforehand that kind of spawned this.
Sure.
Let's talk about airline travel. We talked about Andy going overseas.
Right.
And for those of our listeners that have gone overseas and had the, let's say, pleasure to fly on foreign carriers that are very much like our, well, shoot, I'll just name their names. American, Delta, United.
Oh, the big majors, yeah.
Big majors. Some comparable airlines that are foreign owned, like Emirates or JAL or All Nippon or Thai Airways. And folks come back and they say, "Oh my God, it was like being a king and being waited on."
That's right.
And I sat in coach
with the chickens.
Yeah. So I don't know, Andy, relay to us a story.
There were no chickens on the Emirates flight.
Well, even carriers that have been around forever. Lufthansa.
Never flew them. But, my flight with Emirates was I left out of Karachi to Dubai to London, all on an Emirates flight, 777. Very comfortable. I'm in coach though. I'm back there with the rest of the.
Yeah, so your seat's no different than you're going to get on an American carrier.
Exactly.
Okay.
However, the service was comparably better compared to.
Why? How so? Was the food better? The people nicer?
The food was better. The people were nicer. I'm talking like from the minute you get on the airplane, they're practically ushering you to your seat.
As customer service, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, all of us being military guys, I could care less if you're being nice to me or not anyway. Just give me a seat and a seat belt and I'm ready to roll.
Nice, so,
but,
well, if you're paying.
Exactly, you're paying. The government was paying, but.
Right. Well, you want
and then the flip side that, you go from London to D.C., we're on a United 777, same aircraft, same thing. And you rarely, if ever, saw the flight attendants other than the safety brief and the standard cart service.
Right. If it's a 14-hour flight, you usually hit the call bell. But you mentioned the 777. So for our listeners, this is a Boeing product. It's a wide-body intercontinental jet, twin engine, one of the more advanced of the Boeing product lines. I think it was one of the biggest under the 747, right, Ed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's a configuration look like in the wide body on a 777?
Wow. I mean, there's a number of configurations where Andy and I sit back in coach is generally going to be 252 going across. I mean, it's a big plane.
Yeah, that's what the flight I was on originally out of Emirates was a 252, and I was in the middle. I was in the 5, second or third seat.
And it sucks.
crammed in there, and
it sucks.
Yeah, sure.
When you're on the twos,
Right.
on the end either end of the tube, it's a lot better in that plane. But now,
But Emirates did a configuration in the front of the plane, right? I've seen these pictures and stuff on the internet. $23,000 for a ride on one of these things. You get you got a bed.
We're not. Well, yeah, we weren't talking about traveling where
first class
where the millionaires travel, and I've done that. Being an air crewman, not being privileged. Just if there's an empty seat, I've done it. I've done the international travel, or even domestically. Been up there. Yeah, that's a different class. We're not talking about that.
right?
And yeah, I will tell you, there's American carriers that have a business class that is phenomenal. I mean, it's better than most people's first class.
But you're going to find those on the newer airplanes, though.
Not even. And I did a trip one time and had the pleasure. I'll just tell them because I don't fly for them. But American Airlines, I flew in their business class, and it was phenomenal.
Right.
And people love the trash talk other airlines. No, I mean someone deserves kudos. I'm going to tell them. I flew on an American flight and went up to. I was flying for the military reserves,
right.
And the captain had moved me up to a business class, and their business class was awesome. It was great.
Take good care of you.
It was one of their newer planes, but it's anyway. That's not what we wanted to talk about. We wanted to talk about sitting back in coach, and yeah, there's all different configurations, and I've done it. I've done it on U.S. domestic carriers as a passenger. Not just with the, flying for the government, so I'm in the reserves and I've got a government ticket, but on my own dime. Done it in the back, and I've done it on foreign carriers that are considered subsidized, what an American carrier would complain about. Hey, those are government-subsidized airlines.
Right, so they're getting paid by the government wherever that country is.
That seems to be the argument, and that's kind of where we were going, was Thai Airways, Emirates, Gulf Airways, Etihad. There's a lot of foreign carriers where their service, it truly is impeccable. I mean, their food is good. It's not great, but it's really good for airline food. They're extremely friendly to passengers. They don't have hidden fees. Their planes are clean. They're serviced well. So the question is, why? Why can they do it and American carriers can't?
Sure.
So I'll tell you both sides of the coin, and I'm an employee of an American carrier, so I'll tell you the argument, and I hear it a lot, and there's some truth to it. Is that foreign governments do very much invest in their carriers. Etihad, Emirates, Thai Airways, do they get government dollars? We seem to think, yes, they do. So how do you compete with that? Is it a free market or is it not a free market? We have all kinds of agreements. We, as in the American government, especially with the Gulf states, with the Middle East, there's what's called the open skies. And with each individual country, we've had agreements on, hey, here's the fair competition rules.
Right.
And our big carriers, American, Delta, United, and there's others, but those are the big three, have joint lawsuits against these other nations' carriers saying, hey, they're not in compliance with open skies.
And they're stealing some routes.
Well,
I call it stealing some routes, but right.
Yeah, here's the flip side of the coin. The flip side of the coin is those carriers say, we don't steal routes. We don't do hub and spoke. We're not American domestic. We can't carry domestically in the United States.
Right.
We offer routes that once again, just for, before our folks start chiming into your Facebook, Pete.
Right.
This is not my stance. This is what a foreign carrier would say. We don't have hub and spoke. We have point-to-point carriage that American carriers don't offer. We do not subsidize. They don't get any government dollars whatsoever. So once, on a third trip through this, third bite of this apple, the rebuttal from American carriers would be, fine, if you don't get government dollars, you have a workforce that is from the third world. Yes, you train them well, but a lot of your training, it's developed by us. So developmental cost is shouldered by American carriers. The flight management computers and all the technology that you put in your jets from the manufacturer, we develop that for
Well, of course,
domestic
yeah.
use.
So they're leveraging a lot of our technology,
Yes,
a
they
lot of our
leverage our
research,
technology.
a lot of our training, and how we do things.
a lot of things that our unions, Airline Pilots Association, Flight Attendants Union do for safety in the U.S., it gets glommed onto by everyone else.
Sure,
Yeah, the industry is going to change and do the things that we ask them to do through a lot of our advocacy groups and our fundraising and our, to be frank, our the legislative lobbying. Yes, those changes are made and everyone benefits. I don't know if you can make that argument though that that's unfair competition, but what I do think is probably more of a, let's say, a fair argument against the foreign carriers is fine. You don't get government subsidies, but the fact that you can employ folks from the third world that and you can set them up that they live in communes. They are paid extremely well. They're trained and indoctrinated that company's brand is literally like their culture. Like we have an American culture, and we come from all different walks of life, and we have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of employees at our airlines that make a living and provide for families in an established culture. They're able to take folks and make their own culture. And I don't know, is that, in a global economy, is that unfair competition? That I can take someone from Indonesia and say, hey, I'm going to train you to be a flight attendant, which means you are 100% service oriented and you will follow my rules. And instead of making $5 a month, I'm going to pay you $500 a month. And that is your life for the next 10 years. And there's so many people that sign up to do that to better their lives.
Right.
I'm sure they're waiting in line.
And their service, they're from that system. It is impeccable. I've flown on it. Yeah. It's great.
It's good stuff, but it still doesn't, give the excuse of disgruntled flight attendants. And, international carriers are probably the biggest offenders of service of that level, and that's why I think your points on international travel are right on.
It is, and that's like Andy said, that where you see it as an American consumer is you're going to fly on American Delta United. Again, I'm painting with a broad brush, and you're going to go from Chicago or L.A. or New York, and you're going to connect through Frankfurt or somewhere else, or London Heathrow to go somewhere like the Middle East or the Far East. And a lot of times that our American carriers have partnerships with these foreign airlines.
That's right. Yep.
So you'll jump onto an Emirates or whatever. And like Andy said, you'll go from a 777 that's exact same airplane, exact same service.
And then you'll get on one of their airplanes.
And you'll get on one of their airplanes. And,
how bad was it?
It just seems better. And there's reasons for it. I think I kind of, I'm trying to avoid a monologue. I kind of outlined there are some viable and explainable reasons why it is a little bit better.
So, Andy, how awesome was when you got off one 777, got on the other one? What were the big differences you saw?
Well, like I said, the personal service is what I would say. Just from a regular guy point of view, it was, oh, really? You want to take my coat and show me to my seat? Thanks.
Yeah, and in coach, that's not generally the service you're going to get. Especially, definitely not domestically.
Right.
Yeah. And a lot of folks, I think that another thing is a lot of folks are used to, before my time, let's say 30 years ago, it was not everyone flew. It was a privilege. I mean, you dressed up to go fly because it was an expense that you did once in a while, unless you were a businessman like our dads, who flew all the time.
Well, that time of that air travel was it's not glamorous anymore.
Yeah, but there was a domestic explosion in the U.S. that kind of lended to this. Hey, for domestic carrier, the big carriers to compete, they're going to have to keep up with the no frills, which was the model is Southwest is, hey, what are you paying for? I'm taking you from A to B. Where you want to go from Skokie to Oakland? I'll do it way cheaper than the other guy in the same plane. I'm doing it from, Baton Rouge to D.C.
Right.
No frills, and not to disparage. It's phenomenal. It's great. It's fares. Southwest gives you fares that in the 70s you paid on Trailways or.
That's right.
What was the other big bus line? They're gone now.
Greyhound.
Right,
Yeah.
Greyhound, right? I mean, who does that now? No one does.
And I know the model Southwest is different from what most carriers are doing today, and that's why they're one of the top carriers in the U.S. to challenge the majors for a piece of the market. But how many times have you seen a video of some Southwest flight attendant having fun and joking and on YouTube? I mean, I've seen it before. I don't see any United people or any American Airlines flight attendants joking around with their customers. Usually they're assisting the police take them off in cuffs.
I think it goes back to culture again. Like Ed was alluding to with the foreign carriers. It's let's face it, it's probably a fun company to work for.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I could honestly say I have never, ever, of all the people I know in the industry, which is a lot. I mean, most of my friends that flew in the military fly in the industry now. I've never met someone who does not like flying for that company.
Oh, for Southwest?
Yeah. I just being honest, I've never met someone that has had a complaint about being an employee of that company. So yeah, it's definitely a great company to work for.
Seems like the equipment is upgrading constantly, and they're in tune to their employees, and you definitely know there's a Southwest footprint right at the at the gate.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. They changed the landscape. I mean, they changed what it meant to fly domestically.
So
and I think that we take that, and the bigger carriers have had to do that. I mean, it used to be when you flew, there was there was a hot meal service. It was something special, and it's not to diminish it. It's not that Southwest made it not special. It's just it became routine and something in this economy. I mean, it's a global economy. It just became easier to travel for leisure, easier to travel for business.
Right.
It's everyone travels by air now.
Yep.
It didn't, folks forget 20, 30 years ago.
What's it like 5,000-6,000 flights in the U.S. alone every day?
Yeah, it's something incredible.
Yeah.
And it did not used to be like that. So when we guys like me and Andy go overseas, do the long haul stuff, it's a lot of that has translated to our domestic carriers. It's the level of service has kind of mimicked what we do domestically.
Right.
And then we bump up against these foreign carriers. Now, again, I think I tried to portray the complaint of the large domestic U.S. carriers against the foreign carriers, the claims that they're subsidized.
Right.
And the counterclaim from those foreign carriers is, no, we don't have government dollars. We just offer a better product. And,
So yeah, there's an argument there. There's definitely, two sides of the coin, opinionated, but when you look at the facts, it's just hands down. One's better than the other, man. So, hey, we were talking about Southwest. Are you a fan of the loading, how you get your seat and all that stuff?
I could care less. I mean, I could, however, I would prefer to pick my seat if I'm going to fly. My more recent
that's
flights,
another thing that's a premium now.
A, B, C, and D, right?
That's another premium now. You pay a couple extra bucks.
$10.
20 some bucks.
to pick your seat.
To pick your seat.
I guess that depends on
That was never the standard. That was never the standard.
No. My God, no.
Now, if I don't pick my seat, guess what? I can go in the most recent trip, I didn't pick the seat. 5 days before I go in and try to get my seat, I got the last two seats on the plane. Let me tell you where they were.
Right in the middle.
All the way in the back in the middle, not even side by side.
I don't mind being all the way in the back. I'll take the back in the front any day of the week. But I just don't want to be that guy jammed in the middle. Now, traveling domestically, I mean, we talked about Southwest Airlines and the other big 3 or 4, but then my more recent trip that I took for work was on Alaska Airlines.
Oh, God.
And those guys were great. And the reason we took that is I need to go D.C. to Seattle.
Right.
And out of DCA, they are the only ones that are offering
straight shot
to Seattle, which is, roger that, put me on that plane. I don't want to have to swap planes in Chicago in February.
Oh, my God.
Because you know what that's going to mean.
That's...
Or, and flying with Alaska, that was a great
Yeah,
experience.
and that's very political, by the way, because it used to be out of DCA. You were very limited on your range that you were allowed to go to out of DCA, out of Reagan.
Oh yeah.
So that was a big lobbying, a big political push to get those West Coast cities serviced from DCA. So I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, you're right. I mean, that's to go DCA to Seattle nonstop.
Yeah, and just to
I'll pay a premium for that.
They were a great airline to fly on. I mean, I think one of their caveats is they do give you I think they chuck a seat out of one of the rows somewhere, and they give you, so there is a little extra leg room. Again, I'm a back of the plane guy. If I can pick a seat, I'm going to be in the back anyway. That way, I'm near the head. I'm near the galley.
I'm near the head.
And I'll tell you what. And here's a benefit: if you're a veteran, and I don't know, usually the flight attendants will figure that out one way or the other. Usually, we have a look or whatever, if you want to call it. But
Haircut.
every time I've flown Alaska, I'm getting a free beer.
Oh, really?
I'll order a beer, and then next thing you know, they don't want to charge me for it. I'm like, she's like, okay, take it. You're a vet. Thank you. Appreciate
very nice,
it.
Very nice.
So
Kudos
to them
nice.
for that.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah. It's a $7 beer, man.
Yeah.
So, I got a caller looking to dial in right now. You guys want to take a call?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, this is our first time taking a call. So we'll see how this works.
Is it someone I know?
Yeah. We'll just call this caller Jay.
Jay? Okay.
For Jesse, and we'll leave it at that. So
Okay.
Jesse's out there. Go ahead, Jesse. You with us yet? And that's a big no. He's not with us yet. So we will get this going, but we do have a potential caller. Anyway, back to the discussion. It was, for me, the cattle call of Southwest doesn't make a difference for me over the normal airline ticketing process. I will pick Southwest every time now because of the point-to-point service on the East Coast of the United States, and just for the pleasurable experience. Because I know they're more and you could probably chime in on this, Ed. Is that the reliability of the flights? I think that's in everybody's mind, and then the ease of I could push this flight back and or reschedule it, and there's no impact fees in there.
Yeah, without a doubt. That is the most phenomenal benefit behind a Southwest ticket is you can call up a minute before the boarding closes and tell them, hey, I am not going on this flight, and you have the full purchase fare of that ticket to apply to anything. You can't beat that.
Right.
I'll admit it. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I that's why that's another benefit.
And you can use it. And now I think I haven't done it in a while on them, but there might be a time period associated with that. But
there's no difference in the peanuts, I can tell you that. So Americans' peanuts are the same as Southwest peanuts, and that's about what you get on.
Are they even serving peanuts anymore? I thought they would have allergies to peanuts now.
Yeah,
Just keep them out of the airplane.
I think they're pretzels.
It's pretzels. It's pretzels.
But there's one thing this culture has gotten into really irks the crap out of me, and I said crap on the air. You said it twice now. I have to cram everything I own into a roll away. This is what the industry did, right? And it charged you $25 extra just to put your bag on the plane. So what did that force everybody to do? Buy rollaways that they could shove all their stuff into, plus they get a carry-on. So now, if you're in the back of the plane and you're all the way in, you ain't getting any overhead space,
That's
dude.
why I picked the back. Who boards first? The back.
Well, that's not on
Not
Southwest.
always.
Hold on a minute.
Not on Southwest, yeah.
That's right. So, yeah.
Well, how do they board? I haven't flown Southwest in
A,
years.
B, C, and D, man.
Okay.
So,
The boarding zone 1, 2, 3, and 4, it all depends.
Right.
But it's designed to minimize the time it takes based on the zones, right? So you're supposed to segment it.
Gotcha.
And
everyone still gets up and tries to cram through the door all at once.
Yeah,
anyway.
the bottom line is the problem is when people fly, you're self-important. And I get it. You're self-important. I need to get where I'm going. Everyone else be damned. and I'm going to get my overhead space. Everyone else be damned.
I
Right.
think
Right.
we kind of alluded to it before we went live was the aggravation of air travel. It isn't so much the airline or whatever who you're flying with. It's that point that you get out of your car at the curb and to the point that your wheels up. That's the aggravating part.
Yeah, because it's not easy.
Getting checked in. TSA we could make a week-long episode about. Let's face it.
You could, yeah. You're right.
Because when I think about me having to travel on an airplane, we visit the Northeast quite a bit, and sometimes we'll discuss, hey, you want to fly out of DCA? We can get a quick flight from here to Boston. And then I go, you know what? Either way, it's an all-day affair.
Yeah.
So why don't we just jump in the car and take a leisurely drive up through Pennsylvania?
Well, that's why
I hear you.
and go that way.
I have plenty of respect for the business people out there that travel every day.
It's miserable.
My brother-in-law does it, and God bless, he's got plenty of patience to do that. But he's not a big fan of flying, and if you talk to him, he'll just tell you right off the bat. It's for him, he's doing it day in and day out.
I used to think, Andy, that not connecting was the key, but I'll tell you what. There's so many different airports out there, and I really think it has to do with how big is the government bureaucracy. I've flown out of and into Reagan National 100 times. Love that airport. Dulles not so much. BWI not so much. That just happens to be my home port.
You know which airport on the East Coast that I find that'll trump all of yours is, and this is
what's that?
I better be careful because I'm from New Jersey, right?
Don't say Newark.
Oh my God, Newark it's horrible.
Yeah, it sucks.
It sucks.
Well, that's the point I wanted to make to Andy was I will connect if I can leave and return out of a little airport in Virginia, Richmond International.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
A few times.
They're from the parking lot to the terminal to going through their TSA. Everyone is awesome. So I want to give a shout out to whoever the manager is, that TSA there.
There you go, Richmond.
It is an awesome little airport.
And does the volume though play a part? It's got
I'm sure. Yeah, it's not a big airport, but God, I will drive down there instead of going to one of the DC airports and not have to connect if I'm going to the West Coast because it takes more time, but it's more. What you alluded to was, dang, just getting out of your frickin' car, and getting to the plane is an ordeal. That place is so much more pleasant. I do it.
Right.
I do it. And I credit to the airport manager, and the shuttle service, everything that works in that little airport to get you to...
We know there's two sides of that airport construction, right?
Yeah.
You got the land side, which usually the management screws up royally, and then you have the air side. So the airfield and airfield management and seems to go seamless at most airports because that's where you're going to,
And that could be, we getting back to culture. That could just be, that's an old South town, even though it's fairly a part of the North. But you go through security there. It's like people smile. They talk to you. It's friendly. There just aren't issues. You breeze through security, and then you sit there, you wait for your jet, and you're like, hey, all right, I got to connect out of Charlotte or I got to connect out of Chicago. And you know what? I don't care because I'm here. And the trip's begun without the most of the hassle that we deal with.
So we've got a caller, guys.
Oh, is this, hold on, who is Jay?
Yeah, you're live on the Hangar Deck podcast, caller, so welcome to the show.
Oh, hey. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Long-time listener, good. So I believe this is one of our long-time listeners, Jesse. How you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing awesome, Jesse.
Great.
Yeah, so we're talking about airline travel and probably a topic that everybody knows or has some kind of story on.
Or hates.
What's your comment tonight, Jess?
Well, I'm kind of delayed here. I know it took me a while to get a hold of you guys, and most of us, especially flyers in the military, absolutely despise flying commercially and having to deal with that. But a couple minutes ago when you guys were discussing, the whole no frills aspect, and I'm sure you guys are pretty familiar with that also, but that's such a tight line for them to cross when they're balancing, the aspect of the no frills, yet providing customer service, and at the same time keeping everything on that tight schedule. These airlines, they invest so much money and the line waiting analysis and the queues and the forecast and demand and overbooking and underbooking, all of that is just so much money lost when they don't nail that right on the head.
That's right.
At the same time, getting these people on that airplane, pretty much hurdling cattle onto this airplane and getting them off the airplane, because every minute they're sitting there at the gate, it's just money going down the drain. So I think Southwest is actually testing the idea of loading people's luggage for them. So, you talked about the whole seating process of A, B, C, and D and just getting people on the airplane. They're looking at the aspect because they're wasting so much time of everybody doesn't want to check their luggage anymore. They just want to bring it on the plane.
You couldn't be more right. I mean, I know my last trip was Southwest, and we literally were we sat for 15 minutes watching the flight attendant try to stow the customer's gear. Man, it's just too many rollaways.
Yeah.
And so in select areas, they're trying where people just drop off their rollaways, and the flight attendants are going to load them without even the people touching them, just to get them in there, load it. And then, of course, at the same time, with them analyzing all these algorithms they got for line weight analysis and the queues and everything also, they have to decide how to load that airplane, front, back, first, inside, outside, all that stuff. So the fastest ways they can get the people on the plane, the fastest way they can get off the plane and get that luggage loaded, that's all money to them. So,
well, it sounds like to us. It sounds like to us they need a couple of good military guys to get things corralled out.
Yeah. My question would be, how would the Southwest Flight Attendants Union, if they, I think they have a union, like what kind of training they would put them through for like load planning and what their plan is, because that's really interesting. Is you go to the gate, you drop off your roll-on, but you turn it over to someone, and then you have it with you when you leave the airplane. I mean, that sounds like it could be fairly complicated unless they got a pretty good plan already. I mean,
I would think they stack them at the gateway and
I imagine
load them, and then at the end of the flight, they're stacking them at the gateway again for you to pick up.
Go ahead, Jess.
Well, yeah, and I imagine so. That's probably why they're just picking a select few cities to try it out and work all the kinks out, so they can get before they see if it even works. Before they go full blast with it. But balancing that line, are they going to make more money by treating me friendly and taking my coat, and giving me a Coke, or by hurdling as many people as they can on that plane, as close as capacity as possible, and getting us out to Atlanta or wherever?
Yeah, I'd say the latter of the two would be the smart answer, and that's what they're doing. But in the end, do they want to create the buzz? And I know we keep going back to Southwest. I mean, it's just the other majors are very relevant in the industry. It's but it's the little things that we as customers pay attention to. And I could tell you, every experience I go with some of the others, I just one of them that sticks out in my mind, and I'm stuck with them, is U.S. Airways. And I mean, that's a tough flight to take. So, but thanks, Jess, for dialing in, man.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse.
I appreciate it, guys.
So stay tuned for our next one, Jess, and you can be a regular caller. There you go.
Sounds good. You guys have a good night.
All right.
Take it easy. Good night, Jess.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. That worked pretty good.
Yeah, a first-time caller.
Yeah.
So, all right, good deal.
Good job there, engineer.
Yeah, making all this stuff work. It only took 2 years. So, all right. Well, what do you think? Have we
beat it up?
We beat this one up pretty good. So I know, anytime that you do have that kind of bad experience, and maybe you've been watching us, you can think about the guys at the Hangar Deck podcast. Man, they beat this one up pretty good.
I got to fly Alaska out to Seattle at the end of the month. I'm looking forward to my free beer.
And I got to fly U.S. Air down to Charlotte. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah, nice. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the Hangar Deck Podcast live video feed. I think it worked out pretty good. We're not perfect, but we're getting there. And I think we had a good time. You guys, you have a good time?
I had a blast. Yeah, dude.
good time.
Jesse,
Thanks for having me
Jesse
over.
called in, man. That was awesome.
That kind of validated the whole YouTube thing. I got all kinds of comments on here, so it's pretty. It worked out pretty well. So I think we hammered that one out. We'll get better at it.
Good deal. You got some fadeaway music to play?
Let's put some fadeaway. All right,
Nice.
there you go, Epic Hero. So once again, this one's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to the Hangar Deck Podcast. I'm your host, Pitchlock Pete.
Fast Eddie.
Whitey.
Whitey. And we'll see you next time at the Hangar Deck Podcast.
Later.